Welcome to The Grand Balance, a bi-weekly podcast hosted by two working grandmas navigating the beautiful chaos of work and family. Hi, Angela.
Hey there.
Hey, we have been looking forward to this guest because she embodies what grandparenting really is. Full transparency, she is a very good friend of mine, and I truly respect and admire how she always shows up for her family. She's a full-time working mom, balancing it all. She has two grown sons and is a grandmother to two adorable little girls. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
We are good. We're excited you're here. Thanks for your time.
You bet. I'm excited to be here.
Kim and I have actually known each other since our boys played Little League, and her husband coached my son. So, funny story, he was coaching, and I was the team mom, and I was always there. And I thought, oh, these poor little boys don't have a mom. And I guess just because her husband was always coaching, she just wasn't around. She was busy
Yeah.
working.
Yes.
Which shows you she's the most involved mom I probably know. So it's first impressions are not always correct.
That's so funny. When you shared that story with me years after we knew each other very well, I found that very funny, but thought, oh my gosh, that is really the perception that came across because, yes, Jeff used to coach the boys. And so when he was coaching, I was like, oh, okay, good. This is my time. I'd go home, I'd make dinner. So dinner would be ready because, with the two parents, we were able to do that. And then I would either show up later, right, at the practices or not at all because I'd be home doing laundry, doing the dishes, whatever, cooking. And then he would bring the boys back home. And then I always made the games. So when I think it was Sharon, the first game, you were like, oh, they do have a mom.
Well, and Jeff is a man of few words. So it wasn't like he was saying, oh, my wife's not here or my wife this, my wife that. All of a sudden, you just appeared at the first game. And I was like, oh,
Yes.
thank
Oh,
goodness these boys have a
yes.
mom.
Yes.
And for you, you're always kind of
So-
judgmental, Sharon, because I had the same thing where my husband and I would divide and conquer. We had a boy and a girl. So I'd go with the girl, my husband would stick with the boy. And so people thought we were divorced, and we weren't at all. It's just we were trying to balance it all. So
Funnier story, I was divorced and everyone thought I was married to my
Yes. That is so true and hilarious. Yes, yes. Got to know Sharon for a while, and then it was a while. I thought, oh, they're not married. Oh, because when he would be at the games as well. So that is pretty funny because you guys did have some
all
good
these judgments going on, right?
we're all
Yes,
just trying to
that's
balance it all.
hilarious.
Yeah, and all we're doing
Yes,
is running around
yes.
trying to raise kids. Well,
Oh my goodness.
you are here to talk about your grandparenting experience because you have found yourself in a situation where you are going back and forth a lot.
Yes.
And I know you were a very hands-on mom, but what made you decide that showing up in person for your granddaughters that are states away was going to be a priority in your life?
Well, a funny story on that as well. Well, one, we were living up in the same state that they were living. And then me and my husband wanted to move back down to San Diego, which has been our home and we consider it our home. And when we made the hard decision that we were going to move back down here and away from them in hopes that they would follow with us or come with us or follow behind us. But still, we just had to sit down, me and my husband, and we're like, okay, if we're really going to do this, how are we going to make this work? Because we are 100% going to be active in the kids' life and it be absolutely the number one priority. And where I came with really believing that that was something that was really possible and we got to make the choice to make that happen was Sharon. And because of all the years going through all the sports with Sharon and having the friendship with her mom would come and her mom would be out there once a month. And we got to know her mom. I loved her mom. And I remember thinking for a while, oh, where's your mom live at? Because she's always here. And she's like, oh, she lives in Colorado, but she just has came out once a month ever since I've lived out here with the grandkids. And I just, at that time, because, I came from a generation of my parents that one financially could not have afforded that because we lived away from our parents when I was raising my kids. And they came, both sides of my parents and my husband's parents, both came down as much as they could, but it certainly wasn't once a month. And if they were financially could have, they would have. I know that, but they did come. And but her mom being there all the time. So when we decided to move back down here, we sat down and I said, okay, let's work up this budget and make it be an item on our budget that this is, and once a month is what just came to me. It's like, we can do once a month. Let's figure it out. And I'm queen on figuring out the best deals for the plane ticket, as you are, Sharon. And we just, before we even moved, we had that as part of the budget. And it was like this is a no, at it wasn't an option, right? This was a non-negotiable that we were going to be able to do that. And we had kind of initially set up that, okay, I would go up every month and my husband would go up every other month. And so, yeah, that's where the idea came from, as far as of just like I actually saw somebody, Sharon's mom was the only person that I'd ever had experienced that with. And so I think, oh, this can be what normal is for us. And that's how that came about.
I love that you were able to set that as a priority and just put it into the normal billing cycle. It's
Yeah.
just it's a bill that you guys are planning for, just like anything
Yep.
else, car
Yeah.
payment or whatever. So I love that, making that a priority. That's really
Yeah.
great. Now, what do you do that gives you the flexibility to do this?
Mhm. Well, I do work with a great company, and family definitely is a priority with them as well. I just really I don't take big time off. I will. I plan it on the 3-day weekends, right? So the 3-day weekends that we have a holiday on there. And then on the months that do not have the holiday, sometimes I'll take one day off. So I make it into a 3-day weekend. And then sometimes there's been a couple months, just depending on how everything works out that month, I'll just do it a 2-day. And I just know it's my sacrifice, other than the financial, which I don't consider that a sacrifice anymore because it was already pre-built in. And like I said, it's a non-negotiable. But the sacrifice we feel now, having done it for a little over a year, is just a tax on our time, our sleep, and the energy on the next Monday morning when I come into work. Those, because we do like the last flight of the night. So I'll work in all day Thursday, and then I take the last flight on that Thursday night. So then I get all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then I fly back the last flight of that Sunday night. And it's a simple little barely over 2-hour flight. It's really easy to get up there and back. So that's how I tie that in. So I'd say for the whole year last year, I mean, I probably, for those weekends, I didn't take much time off from work because I tied them into the holiday on that Monday or that Friday. And then, like I said, I took a couple of days here and there. But yeah.
And as a fellow traveling grandma, I can feel your
Yes.
pain about the lack of some rest,
Yeah.
but it's all worth
Yes.
it. I know that.
Oh, 100% all worth it. Yes. Absolutely.
Well, I have a funny
Absolutely.
question. What is one of the
Yes.
funniest or most chaotic moments that has happened during a visit?
Oh, many, many.
I
But
know you, and I can only
yeah,
imagine there's a lot of them.
yes. Well, the most recent, and I think, you ladies know, grandmas know, as the kids get older, there's just so much more. There's so much more of a personality, and there's so many things that happen. But just a little bit about me. I have two wonderful sons. I raised two boys. And so my oldest son is the one he gave me two granddaughters. So I have two granddaughters, which has been so much fun for me. So again, now having granddaughters, my daughter-in-law is wonderful. And every time I'm up there, I get to dress them, I get to do their hair, and I get to do all of the fun things like that. And so, but you can imagine my granddaughters right now are 1 and 3, and they're not just patiently sit there and let you do their hair. And I'm not very good at it because I don't have experience in it.
You don't
And
have all the
so
practice we have.
I don't have all the practice that anybody who had daughters did. And so I'm kind of just fumble my way through those. I see what the mom does, and so I've tried some things, and I've actually done pretty well. And when I do it, I get all excited, I get all proud. But just a couple of months ago, I was getting them ready for bed, and always have like pigtails and the little rubber bands in their hair. And so mom and dad
Those
were out on a
little tiny
date.
rubber bands, they're awful.
Tiny rubber, yes. So take them out and to put them in. And so my daughter-in-law has a little hook that you go to take those rubber bands out, and it just has like a little razor kind of at the end, and you just stick it in there and you pull it out and it pops the rubber band.
Wait a
So
minute,
I
a razor
yes.
thing
Well,
on
it's
their
kind
head?
of a razor thing. Well, no, yeah, I know, right? Well,
I've
it's
never
very
heard of one of these
protected.
tools.
No, I've seen them. I was like, the first time I saw it, I thought, "Ooh, wow, what's that?" But it has a little hook. It's safe for the baby, of course. But it gets a little like a sharp little, not sharp, but a little pointy plastic thing at the end of the comb, and then you just slide it under there, and there's just like almost like what a scissor razor would be, and you just pop it, and it just pops that rubber band right off. I've done it since they've been born because they've had rubber bands in their hair ever since. Just stick it in there and pop it. Well, it was the day that I actually did their hair that morning, and they have longer hair. And it was like, oh my God, they're being so good. So I was tying and tying and tying up the rubber band. So I think what I got some extra hair the way it was not smooth in there. Because when I went at the end of the night to take it out, which I have done for a couple of years now, I went in there on the youngest one, which is just one, and I went to go pop that rubber band out how I had, and all of a sudden I'm like, yank it out there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a handful of hair.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
And it wasn't as much it was a handful of hair, it was the long hair, because she has
Oh,
longer hair now. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I cut her hair." And I had never done that before. You always get a little bit of hair here and there. That was just normal. But this was just like
You
it
cut her
wasn't a
hair
lot of
because it
hair.
was the razor thing that
I yes,
the
I think I
the
well,
razor thing razored.
I razor like slit, and I think the hair, because the long hair, I tied the rubber band up so tight when I was doing it. But you know how when you're doing it, you guys would know with the girl's hair, you're rubbing it, you're turning it around and around and pulling that long hair through. I think there was long hair that I hadn't pulled all the way through,
That
just
was, like,
that little
intermingled
group
with the rubber
that was
band.
intermingled. Yes, and that was from earlier in the day. I didn't remember that. I don't,
You don't
obviously I'm
recall?
not a pro at it. Yeah, I don't recall that. And so when I just, flung that little razor in there, and all of a sudden the long hair was in my hand. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just cut this baby's hair. Neither of the girls have had their hair cut at all. And I was like, oh no, that's
Are
again
you
something
scared?
I would, yes, I was scared
Did you
because,
tell the mom?
yes, I did tell them. I told them right away. I did think about it for a second because I was like,
I know,
oh
I would have
no.
maybe hidden that.
Yes, I know, but I will tell you why I'm really glad I did, because I was freaking out. Not like I said, it wasn't a big chunk. I didn't feel like it was a big chunk, but it was the length of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I put it in the trash, and I was like, okay, all right. So then the
Hid it
girls just
under
went to
other
bed.
trash?
Yes, I didn't even really look at her hair. Then I just had that. Then the girls went to bed, put them to bed. But then I and I knew they'd see it in the trash. So then I told them right when they came home from the date, I said, well, oops, I took
Oops.
it and I took a little bit more hair and then my daughter-in-law, she was like, oh yeah, we do that all the time. Like that happens, right? Like
Well,
don't
yeah, if
even,
you use
it
a
happens
razor
to
on their
me.
head,
Yes, yeah.
this concept is just I really have
And
to see what this tool
I
is
was
that you're
gonna say,
talking about.
I don't know that razor is the best term I should use. You guys are gonna have to Google it, or
We'll
I'll send
Google
it
it.
to you. You'll see it. Yeah, you'll definitely see it. Sounds a lot worse than it is. No, it's definitely meant for that. It is meant for little hairs. That's how you get those little rubber bands out.
Well, in
So,
your defense, too, I don't think
mhm.
Angela's had to deal with the little mini rubber bands yet.
Okay, yeah, they
They're
are,
horrible.
Oh,
they
no, I'm
really
not
are.
using them, and here's why, because they are so tiny, I'm worried that, like, she'll get it
That's the
and
thing.
choke or something, like, if it
Yeah,
falls out of her hair.
yeah,
That's why
yeah.
Kim made it super
That's
tight.
why I made it so
Yeah.
tight.
So we
Yes,
just use
Angela, that
barrettes
is
right now.
okay. No,
She
that's why
actually
I made
has
it
a
so
lot of hair. We just use barrettes to pull it
tight.
back
Okay.
from her eyes.
Okay, so what
Yeah.
was the
No.
reaction?
So my daughter-in-law, well, my son was like, oh, no big deal. And she was the same way when I told her. She was like, oh, okay. Oh, she's, oh, no, Kim, that happens. Don't even worry about it. I was like, okay. So that was ended. And then it was, like I said, we have short weekends. And then we left. And then it was that next day, I was back at home and I get a text from her. And her nickname for me is Kimmers. And so it's like a term of endearment. And so she texts me and she's like, OMG Kimmers, you took a chunk out of her hair.
Well, at least she used your nickname, so you knew she
Yes.
wasn't
So
fuming mad.
I knew she wasn't mad at me, but I knew she was like, as a mom, like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, oh no. And again, I didn't feel like it had been a chunk, but to be honest, I just saw the length of it and I was like, oh my gosh. And I just instantly like threw it in the trash and was like, oh dear God. And then so that was that. But yeah, so when she texts me that, I will say that's one of the great things. I do have a wonderful relationship with obviously my son, but obviously my daughter-in-law as well. And I did think that was I was so glad I had already said it to them because I wasn't hiding it. And I did tell her. And then when she said that, I was like, no, like it's just a little bit. She goes, then she sent me a picture. She had put the baby's
The
hair back
evidence.
and you could see, yes, there was definitely a big chunk out of where she pulls back the hair. And I was like, I felt horrible, of course, but I was just like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And again, I knew she wasn't mad at me. I just knew, like, again, new moms and here's the baby. And now she got a little chunk out of her hair because grandma
Well,
did it wrong.
the good thing is it'll grow back, and you'll always be
Yes.
able to laugh
Yes.
about it with the girls as they get older and tell them the crazy story of the razor.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I know. I shouldn't have said razor, but once you guys see it, you'll see it's not necessarily a razor, but it is a little hook. Yes. So
That's
that was so funny. Yes.
Well,
That was
since you are
definitely one of those.
traveling and seeing the girls every month, what are some things that you have done that you found particularly successful in creating that close bond with them?
Well, you guys are grandmas and and because, well, two things. When we're not with them, we do FaceTimes. And the FaceTimes have been lifesavers. So the in betweens of actually physically being with them. So, and FaceTimes, I mean, from the moment we came down here, I mean, it is like playing with them. I mean, my oldest granddaughter, who's now 3, but she was 2 when we left, she carries us around that house. We jump, we dance, we read, we sing, we do all of the things through FaceTime with her. And now that the baby's getting a little bit older, she's now participating in that a little bit more. And then, so that's, keeps us all connected now while we're separated. And then when we go up there, I mean, because we're only up there for that short amount of time. So on the weekend, I mean, it's just totally all about the kids. And the moment we get there, even when the baby was still waking up for a bottle in the middle of the night, we would sleep in the room where the baby was, she was in the parents' room at the time. And so I would be the one to wake up and give her the bottle. And so as soon as we would fly in at midnight that night, then we would go to sleep in that room. And then when she would wake up, I would be the one to wake up with her in the middle of the night, give her the bottle. And then, like, now, so it's now that's no longer happens. But now when they wake up, right away we start calling their name when they wake up, and they come in and crawl in bed with us, and we have our little morning, and then the whole weekend it's just all about them, loving up on them and having a lot of playtime and snuggle time, and you know for the whole weekend. That's all it is right now. That's what we're doing. And my daughter-in-law is so wonderful in the way that she does, like, we try and plan, like you do, Sharon, as well, plan the holidays, going up on those weekends and the birthdays and things like that as much as we can. And so my daughter-in-law will save, like, to go to the Christmas tree farm or the pumpkin patch to do on the weekends that we're there. And so we still get to experience in all of those things that we would have if he were there.
So when you go, do the parents kind of get date nights and
Oh,
time to themselves? So they're looking forward to it as well?
100%. Yes.
That's
Yes. I
nice.
just had yeah, I'm always like, obviously, I want to spend time we might as well want to spend time with them too, because we miss them and like to have that time. But no, it's kind of shared. Like, they'll pick either a day night, go away for the night so that they have some time for themselves and the adult time. And then we'll have like a night, like a family night, where we'll do the dinner and spend time together, play games and things like that with them. But yeah, absolutely. And my son, like, I just had a conversation with him today, and he was like, we are planning a future visit for the baby's second year birthday, and my younger son that lives down here and his girlfriend are coming up, and he was saying, hey, I was thinking about like the adults having kind of a day date and going out and doing or some time together. And he's like, would that be okay? Like, I feel bad, like kind of like dumping the kids, dumping the girls on you. And I was like, no, don't feel bad at all. No, you're not dumping the girls on us at all. Like, we want, that's what we're there for. We absolutely want to do that. So I still, yeah. So they definitely get some time to themselves.
And I know they so appreciate it too.
They do, right? They really do. It's nice. And it's one of those things, as much as we love being grandmas, I think I've shared this with Sharon before. We love being grandmas, and that's like the best thing ever. But, with your adult kids, there's not a whole lot you can do for your adult kids anymore. And so for me, that gets to be, I still kind of get to do a mom thing for both of them, because I think of my daughter-in-law as my own as well. And I get to be like, yeah, you guys go do that. And I feel like I'm kind of get to do that as a mom for them, even though the benefit for us is to having babies with us.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to worry because they know the girls are in good hands too.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, just maybe. Oh,
you're
go ahead,
spending all
Angela.
this money on travel, but you budgeted
Mhm,
for it. Do
mhm.
you feel like you still splurge and spoil them a lot with gifts and things like that, even though you're already, trying to
Yeah,
give give in other ways? Just curious
wait,
because I
yes.
struggle.
Yeah.
I talk about it a lot, but then I struggle. I don't practice what I preach, and I
I
just
don't
kind
think any of us do. I could
I
answer
can
this
but you
for
have a
Kim.
you have
yes,
a good
yes,
reason because you're spending money, like,
yeah.
bigger dollars in other ways. So just curious.
Yes. Yeah. Well, right now, me and my husband both are full time work. We work full time. So, right. And they're just little babies right now, still, are so little. So, I mean, yes, I, s- I don't necessarily, I buy some toys down here, but I always bring up something. But most of the time it's clothes, because you can imagine, again, I had boys and I get to buy some girl clothes. So it's so much fun for me. And also they need it. You know how fast they're growing right now, and they're always changing. And I'm always checking with my daughter in law, like, what do they need? Like, jeans, long sleeves, whatever. So I always come with, sometimes some stacks are bigger than others, and shoes or whatever. And then some, but right now they're so little. And then when we're up there, it's sometimes, yeah, we'll go to the store and get something, but I don't spend a lot on them when we're up there, because we're just spending time with them. I mean, we
Yeah.
might go get something to eat. If we go, I might pick up a little toy, but right now, not that. I do plan and think about that a little bit. Like, that will change as they get a little bit bigger and older. And I figure that won't be buying as many clothes with them, or I'll want to go shopping with them, right? Or take them, those kind of things. But yeah, so yes, but I don't feel like it's extravagant right now,
Yeah.
And girl clothes are
because they're
so
just little.
fun to buy.
They are fun to
I
buy.
feel your
They really
pain.
are fun to
Both of us
buy.
have 2 little girlies, and I was telling
Yes.
Angela, your little girlies are almost the same age as mine. They're just a little bit ahead.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is fun, but the same. I like when I'm there too, we don't really go to stores and do that sort of thing. We do more family things, but I definitely
Yes.
come with things in my suitcase because, like you said, you also feel like you're helping your kids by providing
Mhm.
something that takes the burden off of them having to buy it. And it's fun for
Yes.
us.
Yes, exactly, yes, and then because they're so little right now, it is there aren't really expensive things, right? Because 'Cause they're just, little kid toys are not that much, and I'm definitely a bargain shopper, so, I am not spending out, feel like I'm spending a lot, but when we do go, yes, I mean, when we do go to dinner or we go take them to something, we do at this point right now, for the most part, pay for that as well. Because again, it's still kinda your kids, and it's not like I get to do it all the time, and so, we always say, well, why we can, we will, because there'll come a time that we won't be two full-time working people, and, you know, we probably won't.
Yeah, that's true, and not everybody. I mean, even working grandmas, it all depends on, how what they've got going on in their lives, but if you can, you will, because you're right, things are
Yes.
gonna change when you have to start budgeting even more, in
Yes.
retirement. So,
Yes.
I did look up because you
She's looking up the razor at
Thank
Kim.
you, I'm
it's
glad.
called a multicolor elastic
Okay.
cutter,
Okay.
and you
Yes.
are right. It is like a
Yes.
crochet hook, but in the middle of the
Yes.
hook, there's a razor.
Exactly, but I'm
Oh
telling
my
you that.
gosh.
Yes, but that razor is never close to their head. Like, I've
Never
never
been
been
a problem
afraid,
before.
never been a problem. I never felt like, "Ooh, if I get too
Until it got
close."
into Kim's
Yeah,
hands.
Yeah, until I did their hair, and I was so proud, and I thought, "Ooh, this rubber band is staying." And their hair's longer now too because they keeps growing. And yeah, that's the only reason I can figure out why that long strand got cut.
Well, wait till
So
I tell my daughter this story. Well, she listens to the podcast,
Does
so
she
she'll
have one
hear
of
it.
these cutters?
No, she doesn't have one of these cutters, and
yes.
now after this, she'll never get one, nor will she let me have one nearby,
I don't
but
think I'd put
Well,
it in the house. It looks just
yes.
dangerous.
Yeah. Well, it's always out of the way. It's never, I really did never have worried about it. And never, like, I've never been something that I've been afraid. I'm like, what a neat little thing. Like, it
what a
just
good
really does. It's
gadget.
like, it's a
Well,
good little gadget if used properly. But yes, that was a user error on that. Absolutely. So,
Well, and when I'm looking them up, they're
mhm.
used on adults in every picture. So maybe you should not be using them on
well, the
mine.
adults
Well,
elastics are
are they?
easy to do. It's these
Yes.
little tiny
Yes. Oh,
clear
they're so tiny
and
and
I know.
yes.
I
and your little
Yeah.
finger, I mean, our not our little fingers, our big fingers can't really get around it that easily.
No. Well, yeah, once they're in there to pull them out, yeah, I don't know how else you would pull them out because they really are, they're just tiny in those little fine hairs that they have. That's why she had those, like, oh my God, what a neat little gadget. And like I said, it's been like my oldest is
Okay.
3
I'm just
years
gonna have
old.
this
They use
image in
them.
my mind cracking up for days
Yes.
to come, for
It
sure.
was.
I'm gonna
Yes.
avoid the
Was
little
it if I
tiny
can okay, yeah.
rubber bands
So
as long as I
stick
can.
to yeah, you might just stick to the breasts. Yeah. So yeah, but the adults use them. It's the adults who use them, not the kids. So yeah,
Yeah.
no,
We
the
learned
kids
something
never
new.
play with them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
That's
that was a good
funny.
exactly. It is a crochet hook looking thing. It's exactly what it is.
So let me ask a
So,
question. What's your
okay.
signature grandma move or thing that you do that you think that your granddaughters will remember you by forever?
I'm a pretty hyper person, like a lot of energy. And so I feel like when I see I have for always when I see my girls like my granddaughters walk in the room or they see me, I'm always like, hi, and really excited, like my whole body's practically jumping. So when she hears my voice just say hello, I hear her in the background with a very high pitched yelling, Mimi, I want to talk to Mimi in a very excited yelling voice.
Okay, well,
And
even
I'm
as your
like,
friend, you're a good greeter, I'll say that.
okay, yes.
High
And that's
energy.
I am. And that's how I greet them. And I noticed that is how they greet me in like mirror kind of how I greeted them. So I do feel like that. And I'll be curious to see if that carries on. But I mean, like Sharon does know me, I am a pretty high energy like that. So I can't imagine that changing
Well, I think
because
it'll
I am excited.
definitely carry on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
your time. You were definitely inspiring to many people out there as a very devoted grandma who is traveling the West Coast to connect with those little girlies, and it's very
Yes.
impressive to me. I'm very, very proud of you for being such a
Oh,
good
thank
grandma.
you. And I do feel lucky. I mean, my flight, it is West Coast. They're just up in Oregon. So it is a quick, barely over 2 hour flight there and back. Yours is definitely a longer flight. And again, again, that works. If I lived, they lived over on the East Coast. I know I would not be able to go there every once a month either. But being that it's just a quick little 2 hour flight, I am blessed able to do that.
Well, and you make it a priority, which is very
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, Sharon, your mom, you, and Kim, you're all inspirations. And if you've got the means to do it, then it sounds like it's so rewarding, and all working grandmas should consider it if they can make it happen. And it sounds like you've been
Yes.
able to do that. So,
Yes, I have so far.
Well, thank you for
So
your time, Kim. It's been
oh, you're
fun.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Nice chatting with you, grandmas.
And thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and follow us in a couple weeks.
bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to the podcast so we can continue to grow our community. And follow us on Instagram at Working Grandmas Podcast, on Facebook at The Grand Balance, a Working Grandmas Podcast, and join our LinkedIn group, Working Grandmas. You can also email us at info@workinggrandmas.com or message us through any of our social media platforms.